wrap up our time here, I'd like to get a word just from each of you of hope in the light of what God would do with this book and what hope it can bring to those who read it.
One of the privileges I get with my job at World Relief is interacting both with a lot of immigrant congregations in the US, and then World Relief works in various parts of Africa and in Haiti and Asia and other parts of the world. And I've had a little bit of opportunity, that's not my primary role, to travel and see some of the work we're doing there in partnership with local churches. And that's some of the hope that has been just remarkably hopeful to me in the last few years, as I've occasionally sort of been pulling my hair out at the state of the American church. Not all of it, but there's moments when I read the news or read about something else that happened, and I felt disoriented. I think disorientation is an experience that a significant number of American evangelicals have felt in the last few years. And for me, a lot of that hope has been, for my wife and I, it's been being part of a little Spanish speaking church here in Aurora that we kind of stumbled into on accident. Like, they were doing a VBS, and it was when my third child was born, and I was responsible for the older two. And it's like, oh, I could get rid of my kids for a few hours if they went to this vacation Bible school. And, we went into would pick them up, and we're like, wow, this church is serving like hundreds of kids in our neighborhood and bringing them the gospel. And, to me, and then, we kind of slowly stepped our foot into that. That became our church. And for me, in a role at World Relief, where I'm working with lots of churches across ethnic lines, but mostly white evangelical churches, that we pray for immigrants, and it's not controversial. And we're not praying for political things, just like there are immigrants who are at risk making dangerous trips, and we pray that God would protect them. And nobody gets upset about that. Was sort of refreshing, because a lot of my job is sort of helping crisis manage when someone is upset in the church because we mentioned, something fairly innocuous about God's love for immigrants. That's become controversial in a lot of the white evangelical church in the last few years. So I'd say for me, that's some of the hope that I want to bring with the book, as part of, where God has really, I think, helped me stay, firmly in the evangelical church, is by showing me that there's ways to be an evangelical Christian that are beyond just sort of the white American version of that, even within the US, through some of what's happening with immigration, but then in traveling to Africa as well. And again, I don't want the takeaway to be like the US church is all messed up and they've got this figured out in Africa. Like, it's all perfect there. My African sisters and brothers would be very quick to tell you that's not the case. Just that the blind spots aren't all the same. And they have some important perspectives that's been really refreshing for me to learn from.